Hello and welcome to today's video. Sumner and I are here in Playa del Carmen. If you don't know me, I'm Allie Hobart. I'm Sumner's wife. And I take care of all of the logistics of our Amazon business. So I wanted to come here to hopefully give you guys even more value. There already is here on the channel. And I am super excited because today we're going to be talking about Amazon FBA packing requirements. Everything, hopefully, that you need to know for the majority of the cases. Everything from label requirements to prepping, packaging, and shipping your products from your supplier to Amazon's warehouse. So before we start, let me remind you to join our Facebook group, The Amazing Escape Plan. And it's because of the Facebook group and all of the questions that people kept asking us about packing requirements and what's allowed, what's not allowed, that we're creating this video, and hopefully it's going to be very helpful for all of you. But join our Facebook group. We're gonna leave the link in the description below. Also, be sure to leave it a thumbs up as well as subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell so you're always notified and you're always up to date with all of the new videos, announcements, posts, everything. So let's go ahead and get to it. Before we get to what's allowed, what's not allowed, and all of the details of the requirements, I wanted to be very clear about all the different types of labels that are required, at least for the majority of products. If you have a special kind of product, if it's in the dangerous category, or if there's something unique about it, you may need other types of labels. But this will most likely be your case, this list of labels. So there's the UPC or FNSKU label, there's the country of origin, there's the suffocation warning, which it may or may not be required depending on your package, and we're going to talk about it soon. Then there's your brand, which is not necessarily required, but it's actually good for you to include it on your product itself. There's the shipping mark, there's the shipping label, and the carrier label. So this is just a quick checklist. Now let's talk about each one. So first, the FNSKU. And I put the FNSKU because that's most likely your situation. You would only use the UPC code. So remember, when you created your listing, you most likely purchased a GS1 code number in order to create your listing, but you actually would not print that on your product itself unless you have requested to Amazon to use that specific barcode for all of your products and not require the FNSKU label. So this is most likely not your case. So that's why I'm only talking about the FNSKU label, and that label is the kind of like the ID of your product. That is going to show what it's showing here, the barcode, the FNSKU number that Amazon's going to provide, the beginning and end of your title, your product title. It says description here, but it's your product title, and the condition, if it's new or used or anything like that. So you can get your FNSKU labels by going to the little arrow next to the edit button of your product and clicking on print item labels. Then you can download the PDF, send that to your supplier, and they can attach to each unit. So that's the FNSKU label. Each product needs a unique label. If you're selling a set, for example, this is one blue water bottle that I'm offering. This is another offer that it's for a set of 2 water bottles. So you're going to need a unique FNSKU label for this offer, the 1 water bottle, and one unique FNSKU label for the set of 2 water bottles. Hopefully that was clear. Next, you're going to need the country of origin. That's not even an Amazon requirement. That is the importing, exporting rule and requirement. So you need to show on the product itself where that product was produced. So most likely, for example, made in China, you need to have that either on the product itself or on a label attached to your product packaging, which is what we usually do with pretty much all of our products. Next, you need the suffocation label. If you are using a poly bag, like those transparent bags, and we're going to talk about the requirements for that bag soon, but if your bag has an opening bigger than 5 inches, then you're going to need that suffocation warning. If it's very small, you don't need it. And there are two ways that you can put that warning on the bag. It could be a sticker, like a label, or a lot of bags have that warning printed on the bag itself. Personally, what we do is we get a fully transparent bag because we think it's more professional. So this is what we do. We combine the country of origin, the suffocation label, and our brand name. Especially if you are brand registered, Amazon may require you to show that you have the brand name on your product. So that's what we do. We put it very well placed on our product package, this label, combining everything. Next, you have the shipping mark. The shipping mark is the information that you have on the big carton. So you have the big carton with several units. Let's say you sell water bottles. You have one big box with 100 water bottles inside. You're going to need some information on the side of that box. And what is required is only the weight, the dimensions, and the country of origin. So just these three. But what we usually do is actually we put our company name, we put what product it is, how many units, and you can ignore this last part here. This is specific to our warehouse that we use, which is Worldcraft Logistics in the US. So they required a barcode there, so you can ignore that. But I would highly recommend that you put these extra information because it can't hurt if you, for example, are using a warehouse facility, or if you are storing products yourself. Trust me, this can be very beneficial. You can easily identify what product it is, how many units are inside, and that's going to be very helpful for you. So that's the shipping mark, or at least that's what the suppliers will know. It's referred to shipping mark. Then there's the shipping labels, and the shipping labels that I'm talking about is the one that you print after you create a shipping plan in Seller Central. And we're going to have a video very soon with the step-by-step of creating a shipping label, a shipping plan. And when we do, I'm going to make sure to leave that in the description below as well. But the shipping label is going to be a label that Amazon provides. And let me move myself out of the way here. Amazon will provide the shipping label so that once your products are delivered to Amazon's warehouse, the staff can easily scan every single box and start checking in all of your products. So if you're doing Amazon FBA, you need that label once you create your shipping plan. So make sure that after you create your shipping plan, you download that label and send it to your supplier and for them to attach to the boxes. And lastly, you're going to need the carrier label. So that's just the whole barcode thing, even though there's the return address and the destination address, that is not the carrier label. You need to arrange the shipment with your supplier or your freight forwarder, and whatever they arrange, if it's DHL, for example, they're gonna get additional labels to put on the cartons as well. So I know a lot of labels, but I wanted to be very clear what each one of them are, so you know, so you never get confused again, because I know they can be very confusing, especially because sometimes some people call it, for example, shipping marks, shipping labels, or Amazon labels, so you might get very confused. Hopefully this made it very clear to you guys. Okay, so now I'm actually going to show you guys the Seller Central page that has all of the information. As I said, what we talked about before, the types of labels, that's just in general for the majority of the cases, but make sure that you come to Amazon, especially if this video is not that recent anymore when you're watching, to make sure you're up to date with all of the requirements. I'm going to leave the link of this page in the description below as well, and you can go through and see everything that Amazon requires in terms of shipping labels. As I said, see, they show all of the details and what it looks like. And one thing that I didn't mention, and they make it very clear here, is that if you do not follow these requirements, you may run the risk of Amazon not accepting your shipment, and then your boxes being, I don't know, lost, or they're with the carrier. Honestly, it never happened to us. I don't know what happens, but they may actually refuse your shipment. And you also run the risk of them charging you extra fees to actually make all of the packing information or arrangements and requirements up to their standards. So it's not cheap, all of the fees. So make sure you read through this list and pay attention to all of the requirements, especially if your product is like an oversized, or if it's a special set, or it's in dangerous goods. All of those things. As I said, I'm going to leave the link below. And let's go back to our slides. Okay, now I want to talk to you guys about all of the specific requirements for each unit when you're shipping to Amazon FBA, each unit, carton, and as well as if you're doing a pallet. And as I said before, this is just for the majority of cases, the majority of products. Your product may require additional packing, prepping, or labeling. So be sure to go to Seller Central and check for yourself. Call seller support if necessary to make sure you have everything set up and you don't have any surprises. All right, so for the unit itself, first, no product can be shipped to Amazon if they're loose, even if they're packed. For example, let's say you sell an extension cord and it's all wrapped and you have like just one wrap in the middle. It could be like paper or anything, one wrap in the middle. If something can get caught in something, in some of their, warehouse machines or anything, it's not allowed. You need to bag or box it. So honestly, to be safe, just bag or box your product, whatever it is. Also, you need to hide any non-Amazon barcodes. So for example, let's say you have your UPC code printed on your box because you also sell that product on other channels, I don't know, Walmart or internationally, whatever it is. If you have a UPC code and you're not specifically, if Amazon didn't tell you that you do not need the FNSKU label, which you most likely do, then you have to cover their barcode. There cannot be any confusion when they're scanning each product. So what you can do if you do have it printed on your box is to place the FNSKU label that you need. It's the third point. You need one FNSKU label, as we talked about, per unit. So you can place that label right on top of the other existing barcode. Next, if you're selling a set, then you need to package it together. It cannot be loose items. Amazon's not gonna bundle it for you and put two in a box for the customer, for example. You need to bundle it together to put, for example, two of them in one bag, or shrink wrap it. As a matter of fact, some products require to be shrink wrapped. So you have to make sure if yours does or not. So you have to bag it as a set, have a label saying sold as a set. It could be sold as a set. It could be ready for sale, or sold as a set, did not separate. And then have one barcode, one FNSKU label for that set. And as I said, also make sure if you need to shrink wrap your set or not. I believe, for example, cosmetics need to be shrink wrapped, and other product types as well. And if you're using a bag, a poly bag, first of all, it needs to be transparent. It needs to be see-through. It cannot be a black or opaque or any other color bag. And as we talked about, it needs a warning label if the opening of that bag is 5 inches or bigger, and that corresponds to 12.5 centimeters. Also, if you have a bag and let's say you put your FNSKU label inside the bag, like on the box, let's say you put a box and then you wrapped it in a bag as well, it needs to be very visible, the FNSKU label. If Amazon requires to open the bag or the packaging or whatever it is in order to scan the barcode, you're going to have to pay a fee for each unit for them to do that. So make sure either you put your barcode on the outside of your package, or if it's on the inside, it's very well visible. And there are other requirements as well in terms of bags. I'm going to show you guys very soon the Seller Central page that shows everything that you can refer to as well. For example, you could not have a lot of spacing. Let's say your product is this big and your bag is very big and there's a lot of extra space. That is not allowed. You need to tighten it and attach it with tape or something, and then place the barcode. Also, if you're using a box, it needs to be 6 sides. It cannot be like a very different kind of shape. And if you're using a box that is perforated, then you need to bag. Most likely you're going to need to bag the poly bag as well around it. If it doesn't pass the drop test, where it's dropped from I believe it's like a 3-foot height, then it needs to be bagged. So honestly, as I said, just in case, I would bag it. And lastly, as we talked about, each unit needs to show the country of origin. You can have that on the product itself. You know, like when you use glasses, usually you can see where it was made at the bottom, but you can put that just on the packaging as well, as we talked about. Next, we're going to talk about the carton or case. That word is kind of like interchangeable. Some people call it carton, some people call it case. All of the packing shipping requirements for that. So once your unit is ready, you fill up the box, and there are 2 different types of how you're packing that box. It could be case packed or individually packed. For case packed, that is when in each box all of the units inside are the same. If you're selling a set of 2 water bottles, then all of the units inside the box are sets of 2 water bottles. It cannot be sets of 2 and sets of 3 in the same box if you're doing case packed, or if you have different colors, for example. It needs to be all the same product inside. And if you're doing a shipping plan with several of those cartons, then all of the cartons need to have the same quantity as well. For example, you cannot do a case packed shipping plan with let's say 3 boxes of all the same product, but one has 100, the other one has 70, the other one has 120. Cannot do that. Okay, so if you have that situation, then you need to create multiple shipping plans, one for each type of quantity, or ask your supplier. That's the best option. Ask your supplier to divide everything equally. And now, if you want to mix everything, let's say you are only ordering a few units of a product variation. Let's say you're selling water bottles and you're doing blue, red, and black, and you don't have enough for a full box of each one. You can put everything into one. Each one has its own FNSKU, as we talked about, but then you would need to create it as an individually packed box. Okay. Next, if you're using, or your supplier is using, any type of fillings, you know, for the voids, the only accepted fillings are foam, air pillows, and full sheets of paper. You cannot use those peanuts or shredded paper or anything else. You have to use one of those. Next, for your box, none of the sides of your box, the height, depth, or length, or whatever it is, none of them can be bigger than 25 inches if you're doing a standard sized product. If your product is an oversized product and it goes beyond 25 inches, for example, then you can only ship, first of all, 1 per box. Let's say it is more than 25 inches. You do not get away with putting more than 1 in a box, just because it's allowed for oversized products. But for the majority of the products, no sides can be bigger than 25 inches. And the weight of each box cannot be over 50 pounds. And I wrote here also the correspondent in centimeters and kilograms. So cannot weigh more. Again, that's for standard sized products. If it's oversized, then that's different. Also, you should also hide all non-Amazon barcodes on the box as well. Let's say you're reusing a box. If there is any other labels, any other barcodes, be sure to hide them before you put any new labels. And if you're doing with your supplier, if your supplier is the one prepping for you, then they will most likely not be reusing boxes. And if they are, they know to cover the barcodes. Just in case, tell them to make sure. And then also, as we talked about, have the shipping mark on the side of the boxes. What we do is actually we put the shipping mark on 2 sides of the boxes, just in case, especially for a warehouse organization purposes. the shipping marks, and then lastly, the Amazon labels, as we already talked about. And one important thing is that you cannot have the label being placed on the seam of the carton. So if someone at the Amazon warehouse is going to open your box, they should not be opening the box and splitting that label. It needs to be separated either on the sides or on the top, but not touching the seam. Okay, and then lastly, if you're doing pallets, then here are some of the requirements. It needs to be a 40 by 48 inches 4-way axis wooden pallet. It needs to be in good condition, so make sure that it's not broken or the material is weak. There are like, I believe it's a B grade. These are just the general requirements. As I said, I'm going to show you guys soon the link with every single little thing that you need to know. Also, the boxes, once you place them on top of the pallet, they cannot hang over 1 inch beyond the pallet. There's also shipping label requirements. Each carton needs their own shipping label, but each pallet also needs a shipping label on each one of the sides, and you can download those shipping labels when you're creating your shipping plan as well. Lastly, it needs to be stretch wrapped. After everything is packed, it needs to be all stretch wrapped around with transparent material. It cannot be taller than 72 inches, and it cannot be heavier than 1,500 pounds. So let me go ahead and show you guys the links from Amazon. All of the packaging and prep requirements, as I said, I'm going to leave those in the description below. There are lots of little things. I just touched on the general requirements, but I would highly encourage you to go through. They have videos here that can be very helpful. Images, as I said, if you sell as a set, types of boxes. And one thing I want to point out, because we get this question a lot, is that a lot of people ask if they can print their FNSKU label on the product. It's instead of just using like a label, a printed label that you sticker on it. And I would highly encourage you not to do that, because there are requirements for the sizing of the letter. There are requirements for the white space around that text. So just in case, you can, if you want, it is more professional and all. So you can work on that, making sure you're following these requirements that are here on these links that I'm showing you guys. But just in case, I would just download the labels from Amazon and just print them as they come and ask your suppliers to ship them, and do not alter them. A lot of suppliers want to put made in China and alter the FNSKU labels to be less labels. I would do 2 different labels, the suffocation, the FNSKU separate. Okay, that's just my opinion. And there's this, all of the packaging requirements here for specific products. To make sure you go to Seller Central, and on the search box, you look for your specific category, because there may be packaging requirements for specific types of products, as I said. And there are also requirements for shipping and routing your products to Amazon. I'm also going to leave the link in the description below. So hopefully this wasn't overwhelming to you guys. I really hope this was helpful. I want to remind you guys to join the Facebook group. Is The Amazing Escape Plan. There are tons of resources there. There is an amazing community. We are always doing our best to answer questions as fast as we can. We're always doing announcements and latest news from Amazon. Also, if you guys are interested, we also have a course on Udemy. We have several courses, but if you want more information just like this one about logistics, how to source from Alibaba all the way to Amazon FBA, we have a very affordable course. The link will also be in the description below on Udemy, and it has everything that you need. But as I said, for the course as well as for this video, I always encourage you guys to go to the source and look things up and be certain to look everything up in Seller Central. And lastly, if you like the video, do not forget to leave a thumbs up. Be sure to subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell. And as always, thank you so much for watching. I really hope this was helpful and you liked the video. God bless you, and I look forward to see you guys in future videos.